Hey, this is Misery Loves Company, a weekly social reading series hosted by miserytourism.com. Every Friday, we welcome outsider and transgressive writers to come and share their work with us. And it's a Friday like any other, so we'll get started here. And I'm going to let Michael McSweeney go first because he's been having some bad weather there, and hopefully, fingers crossed, his connection will hold up. Hey, Michael, how's it going?
It's good. There's a lot of lightning outside, not so much thunder anymore. So hopefully this cabin's Wi-Fi does the trick. So what I was originally planning to read is not ready. So I was going to read an edited version I read, I think maybe like a little under a year ago. That rejection letters took in a call. Um, so I'm going to give that a read. See how long
Michael, I hate. Oh, never mind. Were you? I thought you were talking, but it looked like we weren't getting any audio. Are you?
Am I coming in okay now?
It sounds like it sounds like you're okay now.
All right. How about that? I'm just trying to turn up my microphone.
I can still hear you. I can still hear you.
Okay, great. All right, we'll just cool. So this is called Night Shuttle. In the fall, I flew out to visit an old friend in Chicago. Back then, I still worked in tech sales. My heart problems lingered untreated, and divorce approached like a thunderhead. I was nervous to fly in that so early in the morning, powered by so much caffeine and so little sleep. What you need to know is that I was afraid of what the approaching end of my marriage, the fission of our shared language. Chicago was a place, a welcome couch, a cold beer on a back porch, an end before the end, a few more desperate days. Outside the terminal, I claimed a corner of the smoking area and collected a few spare, anxious gulps of oxygen. Ride shares scampered through the drop-off zone. I knew the drivers were as frightened about the future as I was. Then I surrendered to the manufactured chill of the terminal, its X-ray blast, its measures of my compliance. I bought coffee and regretted each foul swig. I feel I should explain myself. Belief in a higher power or significance doesn't come so easily. As I queued in line and looked out the wide glass window, I did not expect to feel a great updraft of red at the looming sky. Nether carved storm cannons prepare to destroy the tarmac and the meek Boston skyline. But I did, as the wind and rain tested the window's defenses. And in me reawakened a small self, a boy, Hugh Nelt, his first funeral, afraid and dumbfounded about why my grandmother was silent. This pre-flight ritual took a while. The soft ping of the scanner cut through the rustle of the terminal. The man ahead of me in line fingered a bag of chips. Children tugged at their mothers and brandished dead-screened tablet computers. I feared for their future. Finally, I entered the gangway. Raindrops muttered against the metal roof. I cleared my throat and tried to compel a burp. Not because my stomach was upset, but because I was desperate to process air, to prove the stress wasn't about to. My seat was in the first row of coach, knees tight against the wall. In my mind, I negotiated, played out the conversation about why I abandoned the trip at the last possible moment. Okay, I thought, okay. I wandered my mind in search of prayer, something formal, easy, found nothing. I asked this looming fear, this new and surely sudden end, for mercy, for it to forgive, to protect my parents too. As I braced, a voice beside me asked for help. She was small, a nun, no younger than 70, frock, clutched a black-cased travel. This woman of prayer broke me. I stood and hoisted the bag into the compartment. As I shoved it against the other luggage inside, the nun took the seat beside me, in the center of the row. Thank you. Sure. We didn't speak much for the duration of the flight. She minded her rosary, fingered the beads in sacramental sequence as the plane inched closer to the sky. I tried not to stare, but I found myself with an armful of questions. I settled on whether she wanted the aisle seat. The nun smiled, and I decided then that neither our flight nor I would suffer. Unlike every time I'd flown or ever since, I did not grip the arm guards at the time. The wind did not beat against us. My ears, my stomach, and my heart all stayed serene. I didn't even feel thirsty. The cloud cover broke, and through the window, there was Boston, gold white diadem, strung on her chain of stoplight highways. She would live through the night. So would I. I won't call it a religious experience. That feels false. I can't say I felt the touch of God, such as he is or may be. But I did peer inside the numinous. I tasted the air in the room. My friend in Chicago told me a story once, how they'd wandered an abandoned hospital years before, brought cameras to make a movie, but spent the night scaring them until they'd reached a stairwell to the attic. As they climbed, he told me, they felt as though others were passing them by, descending, feeling their way back home. Then my friend heard a moan like the song of a loon, and they fled, even though it might have been someone shacked up in the hospital to stay out of the cold. Maybe that was they didn't know, but they didn't need to know. The closeness to an untouchable truth was enough. We arrived in Chicago a half hour early. The pilot couldn't believe it. He said it twice on the intercom like he wanted one of us to call out the error. We flew across the Great Lake as the first sketch of dawn light stroked the water. The runway caught us, and the plane glided to the terminal at O'Hare on a stem of holy rain. Without prompting, I fetched the nun's bag and carried it up the gangway. Felt, thank you. I watched her fade into the bustle of the airport. Nearby, passengers edged forward, phones and tickets to their chests, waiting to receive their turn.
Michael, I remember this story, and this really is like the perfect story to read in the middle of a thunderstorm, isn't it? And also, in some ways, the fact that your connection is a little choppy enhanced this piece, since it gave this kind of impression of it being delivered from the middle of a plane experiencing turbulence. But Michael, I think I said it then, and I'll say it again now. I really love this piece because it's about a religious experience, but it's very subtle in the way that it's about a religious experience. So many pieces that deal with I'm tongue-tied. Religious experiences, or like, oh, I had cancer and I was cured, or like I was addicted to drugs and God like cured me of my addiction or something. But this is more about like the subtle moments of faith that you can experience like over the course of a day, like having that little bit of nagging anxiety and fear having taken away from you, and more than that, replaced with something that feels profound. And I love the atmosphere of this piece. I love the way that you describe the experience of being in the plane, both during the storm and after. You know, when you're so good at describing and I've said this before, but you're so good at describing a certain kind of landscape and natural atmosphere, and the way you capture the experience of being in a plane, and the subtle beauty of the ending of this, I think is fantastic, Michael. So anyway, it's a great piece. I'm glad to hear it again.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, man. And hopefully you stay safe there in the middle of the storm that you're in at present. So Adam would be next up, but I don't think Adam is with us yet. Do we have Adam here? Okay, Michael. All right, so what we'll do then is we will move to Rudy, and I'm going to move Adam to the end of the night, and we'll see if
Hey, William, I just want to tell you that Brandon says he's trying, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
He's got the boot causes an IP lock.
Oh, really?
I only know what the word "the" and "an" mean in that sentence.
Yeah.
I have the vague sense of what's going on there. Okay, all right.
I'm trying to talk him through a VPN maybe or something, but
Damn.
like the old
Even
days.
so, even his phone then would be on the same IP.
No, his phone, if he uses data, would not be on the same IP. It'd be on tower IP.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So all the devices in his house would be on this.
Anything that's on his Wi-Fi network.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Rudy, it's all yours. I'm
All right.
sorry,
I'm gonna-
Brandon. Maybe you're watching this now since you missed it live.
Yawn.
uh,
Yeah, I'm gonna try to share my screen. Let me see here. Well, excuse me. I had to pull this up on my phone though first. I have like a screen thing to share in addition to this. But I'm gonna read from my phone, my cellular phone. Let's see. Oops, I have to share audio. All right, can you guys see that and hear? Sound check,
yep.
sound check.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Excellent.
sir.
So this is a slave narrative. It's called The Nigger Who Sold Himself for a Buck. But first, before I read this, I want to quote a slave narrative. All these damn chains, modern slavery, ICE. But this ain't 1800, so they pay me cash. Cyrus Preston Jackson, slave. The nigger who sold himself for a buck. At some juncture during this great Civil War, which is the Northern Aggression one and not the one where Captain America gets domed by a sharpshooter, there happens to exist a black man. His name is Cornelius Buck, and his great power, lordy, is that he can turn one buck into as many bucks as he wants to. He is blessed, praise Jesus, by the fact that he is a big buck. He is blessed by the fact that he is a free man in one of the hottest parcels of Dixie. He is also cursed, devil leave me be, by the fact that he is a slave. But how did it come to be, you was probably saying, that this man finna be both a slave and free? Listen, child, I ain't got no time to educate you. Well, that ain't true. I'm old, and us old hands don't do much but idle. Lordy, I do have a lot of time, but I ain't no teacher, so fuck you. What I can say, though, is that Mr. Buck is one lucrative Negro. He a free man, but he the type of free man who owns black people. Not to free them because of kinship. No, no, no. He owns black people so he can sell them. He owns himself, child, because if you was remembering what I said he can turn one buck into as many bucks as he wants to. He make more of himself with the snap of his fingers. He make niggas appear like Massa saying, get you some cornbread, niggas. Niggers around here like cornbread anymore? He turned black bucks into green bucks, Lord almighty. He is despised by niggas. Niggas hate this man, this Cornelius Buck. Niggas walk down the street, free or otherwise, saying, fuck this King Louis ass, monkey ass nigga. Niggas also walk down the narrow streets of their mind saying, ooby doo, I want to be like you. How fucking rich Mr. Buck is. Fucking stacking money in these hopeless times. And worse is coming, oh Lord. Sherman finna be rolling north of Atlanta. Migos! Lincoln's blue balls finna be spraying hot fucking loads on Southern boys. Irish brigades finna be saying Aaron this or Aaron that while they jig around plantations. A change gonna come, child, but not yet. On this day that's 300 something to emancipation, Mr. Buck is selling niggas like niggas farther down the waters of time be selling cocaina, Mark Twain. Mr. Buck has the biggest slave market in town, a place called Free Market, a joke, ha ha. But Lord, ain't nothing, no one free there. He lines up niggas 2 by 2 on the platform. All of them are a spitting image of him, well sculpted, muscles in all the right locales, big ebony rod for the extrajudicial satisfaction of the white missus, broad shoulders to carry her plump load, James Brown, broad backs to take that whip when massa find out. Shit. All these niggas is strong, but come with a lot of baggage because Mr. Buck himself is all these niggas. He got every one of them on remote control with no remote like Ye will rap about at some point. And when one gets a whooping, he feel it. When one thinks to himself, Lord, how long can this go on? He feel it. He feel it all. Is this nigga Feist or Faust? At any rate, the white man queues up to buy all day, all night. They be paying too. Lord, do they pay well. They pay so well that Mr. Buck doesn't have to lift a finger no more except to conjure more of himself. Mr. Buck has a proxy, a white ginger named Tommy or Timmy or Tiny, who cares, to run his market. The real Mr. Buck is at home practicing penmanship and wordsmithing. Or is the real Mr. Buck at the market getting bought? Or is the real Mr. Buck on a plantation somewhere ginning cotton? Or is he, the real Mr. Buck? Child, I show is tired. Of all the thorny roads Cornelius Buck might tread, the one that is barbed the most, prickly as a briar patch and not even half his homey, is the path of the word man. Some days Cornelius sit in his plantation up on Mulberry Road and write 100 damn words. Other days he just write his name and lay up all up in the bed. God damn. Timmy come in sometimes say, Mr. Buck, you done sold 3 dozen niggers today. It's a good thing Timmy's so mousy, because whenever he come by and Cornelius is hitting the page, he finna get a full glass of ink thrown right at his head. Fuck. He never complained. Mr. Buck gives him a share of the profits, about 10 cents a day. In antebellum time money, that's enough to buy plenty gut rot, which is all Timmy, who come in with fists redder than his hair, don't need. And while Mr. Buck is eyeballing bills of sale, while Cornelius Rathbone, hoity-toity man of letters, is scratching out sentences, Buck is on the farm taking lashes. And every time that overseer raised his whip, it'd be a masterstroke for Cornelius. Buck is his nigger flesh muse, divine inspiration, almighty God. Like all them famous pen jockeys who says, if I walk for an hour, I can write for 2 or whatever. Cornelius gets more righty the more Whitey tans his brother's black hides. But child, and don't you say nothing about this, it's most especially Mr. Buck. The more he write, the more it seems he take into melancholy. Melancholy like he don't want no melon. Melancholy like he don't give half a damn. Melancholy like he finna play around with Mr. Buck's pistol a little too close to his head, twirling his nappy curls with it like a southern belle who's laid eyes on her Johnny Reb. Cornelius is one sad nigga. Cornelius say shit like, my despondent heart, and woe is a friend that won't leave. What kind of nigga be saying shit like that? Cornelius sometimes get to thinking like he the only buck around these parts. Sometimes Mr. Buck put his ass in line saying, nigga, you ain't got no sense. He just brush it off. Some days, Buck has fits of drapetomania and comes up to Mulberry, usually on sultry days when it's so hot that you can fry eggs on his black skin like it's made of cast iron. Today is one of them days, and at this point in time, I'm watching Timmy get thrown around like a rag doll on the foyer for trying to stop a black man double his size. Now Buck is snatching up Cornelius by his doily ass collar, while Mr. Buck says, hold on now, hold on. Now Buck's slapping Cornelius upside his head, calling him house nigger, while Timmy stands with a jaw so slack that if it were a rope, a hangman would say, God damn, I can't use this rope to string nobody up. The next thing I know is this room is full of slave catchers. One of them starts dragging Cornelius out by his hair. Lordy. Mr. Buck draws his pistol, and so does one of the white men. Tiny Tim leaps up and gets in the middle of the battle, like an uglier Clara Barton. He's saying, "Please, sir," to the slave catcher Honky and to Mr. Buck, and neither is really having it. Spittle flying all in this white boy's face and mouth while he coos Cockney. The luck of the Irish. After about an hour of men behaving like absolute bastards, the catchers leave and take Buck away in chains. One of them said, "Boy, y'all darkies sure look similar." And that's that.
Man, this is fucking ingenious. So I saw you tweet about this concept, and the concept is brilliant in and of itself, but the execution here is fucking next level shit. So I love what you've done here, because you've taken excuse me a second. You've taken like the traditional like clone story, which there's been like so many variations of, like the guy who clones himself to like, get more chores down around the house done, and the guy, like all the countless number of like clone narratives, and you have turned it into something totally unique and totally subversive. And also I love the way this piece is presented. I love the fact that it's presented as if a kind of Uncle Remus story, with the other slave telling the tale. I love as usual, your wordplay is on point. The fact that his name is Cornelius Buck is fucking is ingenious and insidious, right? And I love the way it ends. This is the perfect like O. Henry ending for a piece like this. And normally I'm not a big fan of like this kind of ironic twist endings, but there is absolutely no other right way for this story to end than that, right? Than with that kind of, and it's almost a like satire of the O. Henry ending, right? Because the like ironic twist is so nasty that you know
get it, because they're all the same guy. Get it? Lord, I apologize.
Oh, and I also love the way that when like the second Cornelius Buck arrives on the plantation near the end of the story, you make it increasingly hard for the reader to tell which version of him you're referring to, right? In a way that mimics the experience that like Timmy and the slave catcher are having, and makes the reader feel bad about the fact they can't discern. Anyway, man, really good stuff.
Thanks for
Derek is up next.
How's my volume?
Sounds good. Is
my volume is it too loud? Is it too quiet?
No, it's perfect.
Is it just in the middle?
It's right in the middle, man.
It's not too loud.
There. Not too loud.
It's not too quiet.
Not too quiet. It's perfectly calibrated, my man.
I'm going to be reading a report tonight from Wartime Author. This is a report on the war. I know that every single one of you are porn-addled, just absolute disgusting, filthy people that do not follow the news. So this is just going to be a little actual community service here so that you guys can learn about the world going on around you. William's going to put that in the chat. Before I get started, though, Wartime Author is also a novel in progress. I'm going to read 3 paragraphs of that before I go into the Substack to give you guys the news, to give you guys the latest. The reason I'm going to do that is because I want you in the mind frame. Does everybody understand? All right. General Wild Bill Donovan of the OSS on their work. We may have made mistakes, quote, we may have made mistakes, But we were not afraid to try things that were never done before, as if novelty itself, regardless of ethical
Man, shut your
question,
bitch ass up.
was reason enough. Oh, I hear you, son. All right. With the patent US 6506148B2, the Alphabet Company secured legal protection
Yeah, because I knew Will was a pedophile, bro.
for both the
You be
hardware
texting me.
and software components for, quote, nervous system manipulation by electromagnetic fields from monitors, initially filed June 1st, 2021, granted and published on January 14th, 2003. The screens are not to be trusted. Certain sensitive information must be passed through novels now. Novels are superannuated relics of some oil lantern past, something out of another century, but they are secure. The code required to crack them is attention, our shakiest resource and the object of all digital algorithmic desires. Our attention is bought and sold in open air markets of ones and zeros. Where are those fucking trolls at? They need to learn this shit. In 1952, declassified CIA memo asserts the use of psychedelic drugs for the purposes of mind control was in the service of, quote, controlling an individual to the point where he will do our bidding against his will, even against the fundamental laws of nature, such as self-preservation, end quote. Another quote, this is from John Gittinger, ex-chief psychologist of the CIA. Quote, we could disable a whole city by putting a small amount in the water supply, end quote. The CIA, during the height of the psychedelic drug experiments on unknowing victims to test out theories of mind control, obtained intelligence that 100 million doses were about to hit the open market. The intelligence turned out to be false when it was discovered the source, an American spy, had confused milligrams and kilograms, and in fact, only 100 doses or an average Grateful Dead concert were hitting the open market. Okay, I want us in the mindset. Now we're going back to the war. This is May, the war in May. Let's see, late spring war games. Hold on 1 second, I'm sorry. I haven't been home in 3 weeks and everything's a mess here. May 7th, 2023, New York City. The Wagner boss says he's pulling Russian mercenaries from Bakhmut. Yevgeny Prigozhin curses Putin's defense minister and army chief of staff. They are starved of ammunition and some of his men have died. The war is inside of Russia now. Russian state television reports on the United States attempted assassination attempt on Putin via drones over the Kremlin. The United States denies involvement. Kiev too. Russia tells its people we may strike anytime. Russia is trying to blame the drones over the Kremlin failed assassination on Putin this week on us. A Texas mall shooting, a hypersonic Russian missile shot down a deer out in the yard, a new king, a new murder, a new shooting, an owl out back by the creek. A little too stoned, the Celtics down at halftime, Kate Bush and Coke in the bathroom with Marcel, 6 Diet Cokes in, needing to speak with my editor ASAP, needing to see the publicist naked before I leave New York. I leave the yacht club of my own accord around 5 p.m. in a somewhat damaged state. An uncontracted tribe of literature is what he said he was building in the room above the garage. Chess is war game. Poker is war game. Cyber writing is war game. Sex is war game. New York is war game. Darling, please set aside my evening tinctures, I asked the publicist, still in her black, always black cocktail dress, her bare arms, her necklace, her posture, her matching set underneath, and she fed me a look before fetching them from the medicine cabinet. May 9th, 2023, New York City. Ukraine is preparing for a counteroffensive loudly and very publicly. The Pentagon leaks confirm. Nothing left to grind the meat with, Prigozhin said. Will he abandon Bakhmut? Why are they communicating this message through Western media? The maps do not look good for Russia and Advidka. May 11th, 2023, New York City. The Russian winter offensive was a costly failure. May 12th, 2023, New York City. Beijing wants a negotiated settlement. The West is winning. May 13th, 2023, Half Moon Resort, Montego Bay, Jamaica. Prigozhin is fired up again, calls the war stupid. Russian troops fled Bakhmut. The Wagner group is not pleased. A Cuban middleweight is staying at the hotel tonight. He walks by the pool in 3-inch seam white shorts, shirtless, Gucci sunglasses, film crew. Me and my dad haven't argued all this camp. I love a father-son training story. Someone needs to write the definitive guide. I'm renting these clothes, he tells me, standing by the cheeseburger truck. It's lunchtime and there's a war in Europe. A Cuban middleweight is drinking rum and pineapple juice blended with ice at a swim up infinity pool in rented designer swimsuits. We're no closer to a unified theory. We ate hot cheeseburgers in the sand. I listened to him tell me stories of his great battles. May 15th, 2023, Half Moon Resort, Montego Bay, Jamaica. Last year, Patrick Collison, CEO of Stripe, interviewed Sam Bankman-Fried for Sohn's annual conference. This year, he interviewed Sam Altman. Sam Altman begins the interview lamenting U.S. regulatory attitudes on crypto. 5 minutes in, Patrick Collison asks Sam Altman if he believes nuclear secrets should be classified. Cancer curing factories, Collison imagines at one point in the conversation, dumbly. May 17th, 2023, Half Moon Bay Resort, Montego Bay, Jamaica. The first night the Iceman came down to play cards with us, Kinky Love by Pale Saints was playing. Ukraine had shot down 4 or 6 Russian supersonic missiles, and Sam Altman testified before Congress on AI safety. It was raining, storming even. Everywhere a radical unraveling. Noam Chomsky met with Jeffrey Epstein multiple times after the disgraced financier was a registered sex offender. Epstein moved $250,000 between accounts for Chomsky, all according to the Wall Street Journal. Meanwhile, Professor Chomsky is speaking for 2 hours a day to anyone that will interview him on YouTube about NATO provoking Russia. The Western left is reduced to tears at an upcoming Hannah Gadsby curated Pablo Maddox show at the Brooklyn Museum. What happened to Free Mumia? What happened to Food Not Bombs? Seattle 99, May 19th, 2023, Southwest Flight Boarding Group B. The new British missiles reach Mariupol. The United States tonight releases the fighter jets. May 20th, 2023, Grand Garden Arena, Las Vegas, MGM. The Ukrainian national anthem plays to American tears in the Grand Garden before the Haney Lomachenko fight. May 21st, 2023, Grand Garden Arena, Las Vegas, MGM. Each man trained by their father. Those men have their sons out there fighting like rooster men, like cockfighters. Right now, I want to go home and support my Ukrainians and my Ukrainian Orthodox Church. Vasily Lomachenko tells the crowd after his controversial loss on the scorecards in the undisputed lightweight championship of the world. May 24th, 2023, undisclosed, on assignment. Bakhmut has fallen. The West and Ukrainian media are determined to downplay the loss. Jimmy Carter and Henry Kissinger are somehow still alive. The museum director started pissing blood. It isn't pleasant. There's simply no other way to say it. He went to the urologist. He has a urologist. He never liked her. The cancer is virulent. He remembers that word specifically, particularly virulent, she said. She starts to go over options. He cuts her off. We won't be doing any of that. He speaks seriously. He's given less than a year. He thanks her. The museum director has cataloged his belongings, many fine things, and is ready to shuffle off and join his husband at rest for eternity. Ukraine voted for its independence from the crippled USSR in 1991. In 2014, waves of Ukrainian protesters took to the streets to show their support for joining the European Union. The government met them with violence, killing dozens. The AI is only trained on data up to September 2021. The war evades its detection. May 29th, 2023, undisclosed, on assignment. I am the goddamn wartime author. The Jerry Saltz calendar today says doing it badly is better than not doing it. So starting tomorrow, it's back to work. There's a war. I'm covering it. This is my country. This is my war. This is my country. This is my war.
Derek, first of all, if there was an award for best set design at Misery Loves Company, you just probably took it from yourself. Maybe from the time you did the Dollhouse set. But man, holy shit, man. First of all, your delivery was on point. Your delivery was amazing. I'm sorry about the troll, but I'm glad the troll went in because the way you dealt with the troll actually added to the whole fucking thing. I love what you're doing with these wartime author pieces. I love the idea of transforming the news, which is so often pure noise, into literature. Like, because I've said this before, but I really feel like we are like assaulted with noise, and we are like in a way that often undermines our ability to appreciate art, in a way that often undermines our ability to engage with literature or engage with anything like aesthetically powerful or emotionally meaningful. And I love the fact that you're taking that, like the like rush of headlines, the like droning awful rush of headlines, and transmuting them and transforming them into art, into literature. I think that's a great fucking tact. And I really, I don't know. This is a fucking awesome project, man. Thank you, man.
Thank you so much, man. Thanks for letting me read. And hopefully I didn't yell too much. Or if
No,
I
you
did,
didn't.
hopefully
It was
wasn't too
perfect.
awful.
Holy shit, that was Hunter S. Jones. I put in the chat, but I just had to say it. Yeah, that was fucking amazing performance. The placement of your microphone, like William mentioned, the set design. I'm here for that, and the pills, everything is just so good. Everything is good.
I told William before we started, there's that movie Born on the 4th of July, you know, with Tom Cruise.
Oh, yeah.
I really like that whole idea of like, you know, there's this radio like announcement basically to all the troops that like, here's what's going on, you know what I mean? And oddly, as much information as we have now, it is essentially impossible to parse what's actually, you know, going on. So it's oddly like a time where it kind of works. You can have somebody now, you know how you can curate, you know, any experience. Now you can actually curate the news, of course.
Yeah.
You know, like these are the things that are important. These are the things that are not. And by making those decisions, it's almost like in fiction when you make decisions about what you're going to include or not include. So I'm fascinated with all that shit right now. I appreciate you guys letting me rock it.
No, that's what. And to put another movie it made me think of is that Good Morning Vietnam, fucking Robin Williams. That just your outfit, everything. Man, that was good. That was really good.
Thanks, guys.
The fucking shark tooth. That's what it is, right?
Yeah. It's always a shark tooth. Okay.
I thought it was a bullet at first. I was like, is Derek wearing a bullet?
Damn.
Nah, man. Bullets, nah. Shark tooth, man. It's my lore.
Right. Is anyway, moving on. Thank you so much, Derek. Troy is up next, and Adam is after Troy, but I don't think Adam is here yet. So if anyone would like to read after Troy, just put it in the chat.
Okay, I'm here. Sorry, I was pissing.
No, it's okay. Hey, Troy, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. How are you?
Not bad.
Good.
My parents' dogs are barking loudly, so I keep muting my mic, but yeah.
Okay. Well, so this is this actually happened last week. Like some dude wanted to send me his poetry book online, and he went to the post office and they said my address didn't exist. So I wrote a story about it. It's called The Package. Mike messaged me a picture of a package with my address on it. He said, "That's your address, right?" I messaged back, "Yeah, that's it." He said the post office was telling him my address did not exist. "You wrote it perfectly," I typed. "Handwriting's so clear." "I don't know," he replied. "They're saying your house doesn't exist. I'll go back later and tell them to mail it anyway." I put my phone into my pocket, wiped, and washed my hands. A loud noise droned overhead, a plane taking off from the small airstrip hobbyists use across the street from work. I punched out and went to the van. I was nauseous. How could my be in the United States Postal Service, for crying out loud, where they say my address doesn't exist? Surely there's a glitch or something. This will all get cleared up soon enough. When I went home to let my dogs out, I thought, okay, I'm in the house. It exists. But for extra reassurance, I took out my phone and started snapping photos. I started out front, taking a shot of the metal numbers nailed to the house, then the numbers on the mailbox. Then I moved to the porch, the front door. I went throughout the house, every bedroom, the bathroom, upstairs, down, not a angle left undocumented. I let the dogs in, locked up, and went back to work. apologizing to my coworkers for my late return. Throughout the day, paranoia set in. I couldn't stop thinking about not having an address. I was waiting for Mike to get back to me. I wanted him to say there was a mistake and my package was on its way. I wanted him to say that my address was real, that my home existed, even though I'd just been there and had documentation of it, knew it to be real. But later, when he got back to me, he said, "No go, man. They're pretty sure your address doesn't exist, has never even been in the system. Sorry, I'll keep trying." I fumbled through sending them to him one by one, rapidly, for several minutes. But after every batch, I kept getting message not sent alerts. I kept trying, refreshing, resending, sending anew. For hours I did this. Nothing went through. I couldn't prove to Mike I wasn't crazy, which made me feel insane. Toward the end of the day, I was so sick with worry about my address not existing, I went into the bathroom and puked. Puked until there was nothing left, until the nothing made my sternum crack. After I'd cleaned up, I threw some paper towels into the trash can and noticed something. The corner of a package was sticking up from under some tissue papers. It had my address on it, but when I opened it, it was empty, nothing, just a manila envelope filled with air. I felt numb to everything around me. Even when it was time to clock out, I felt nothing. When I went home, I couldn't find it. I pulled out my phone. The GPS must have been broken because it didn't register my address. So I just kept driving. Drove on in a straight line until I was out of the city and into the country. I forgot my name and felt a wholeness inside me. I let the wind rush over my non-existence as I sped along the horizon. Even still, as good as it felt in the moment, I had this nagging feeling that wild, wide open space would eventually build new walls around me, number me, and give me back my name. That's the problem. Somebody would remember. Just then, somebody messaged, "It's on its way." How could I have known what it meant? All right, that's it. Thanks.
Troy, this is awesome. You know how much I love pieces about like existential angst and like the fear of non-existence, like and the way that and the way that you get at that in this very simple story. And one thing I love about this piece is because you so often work with the surreal, I was expecting like reality to unravel at some point in this piece, just being familiar with your work and what you often do. And the fact that it really doesn't, that like your narrator psychologically unravels, and there are like these like hints and intimations, there we go, that like reality might start to unwind, like when he starts getting the message not sent errors, and you start to think, oh, this guy really is going to cease to be. And the fact that you set all that up and then it doesn't happen, and there's this tremendous sense of relief at the end, the way that you like bring the reader up to the precipice of non-existence, but don't push them over, don't go over the edge, really like makes this a really, I think, fascinating and effective sort of psychological study that I think works extremely well. So yeah, it's good shit, Troy. Thank you.
Thank you, William.
Yeah. Man, and to have that happen, like, you have to wonder, like, how the fuck does the Postal Service keep track of all these addresses? Why doesn't this happen to everyone all the time? You know, but to have it happen to you, it must be like existentially unsettling, right?
For sure.
All right. Thank you, man. Thank you, Troy. So Rudy, did anyone else say in the chat that they wanted to read? Is there anyone here that would like to read? Is Adam here?
I didn't see anybody in the chat. Did Adam Johnson come in, or?
I don't see Adam here, and you know, he hasn't responded to my Twitter DM, so maybe he forgot about tonight or something came up, and we can move him to next week then. Okay, seems like we're ready to close up shop for tonight then. Thank you to everyone who read. Of course, I am going to leave the Zoom meeting open for a while here. But yeah, that kind of concludes the reading portion of the night. Lots of fantastic pieces read tonight. Well, not a lot of pieces, but the pieces, but the pieces that were read were fantastic. And a lot of experimental shit tonight, which I always love. Like each of the pieces tonight, I feel were playing with form and playing with expectations and playing with like, I don't know, even the fucking nature of existence a little bit, which is fucking cool. Anyway, I'm rambling. This has been Misery Loves Company. We do this every Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Pacific. Anyone is welcome to join us as long as you don't come in here and fucking troll. We tweet out the link from our Twitter account at Misery Tourism, usually right before we begin. All right, that's it. Thank you, everyone. It's been a great one. Fuck it. We're done.